take a look at Northern Lights hole 2. Pretty straightforward hole, but there's trouble to be found here. There's a Mando to the right of the tee pad. You have to stay left of that. And if you look up at the top left hand of the screen, you'll notice that there is a drop zone for this hole. And it's a pretty punishing one, so you want to try to avoid that if you can, but we'll talk about that in a second. I imagine most people use a musket, depending on which variety they bag. I have the Accurate Windbreak in my bag, but a lot of people prefer the Accurate Roll musket. And I'm sure they both have their pros and their cons, and I'm sure that you could get used to either one and dial it in for success here. With the Accurate Windbreak, I aim somewhere in the middle of these line of trees, depending on the wind, of course. And my goal is to sort of land on this sloped left-hand side of the fairway and then slide up to within about 40 feet of the basket. That's ideal. So let's see if we can do that. I go about 45 degrees on the hyzer, and with this 3-wind, I'm going to take just a little bit off. Don't want to go too crazy with the tailwind trying to push me over the cliff. And I'd rather be further away than closer. So that's 60 feet, that's doable. And as always, I'm not going to bother throwing them in, waste time. So yeah, with the Accurate Windbreak, of course, you get the benefit of the reduction from the wind impact, and you get a little slide at the end, which is sometimes helpful, most of the times helpful. That's a little better, closer to 40 feet. I think 40 feet is great. The Accurate Roll, of course, you get the quick stop at the end, but you also have the chance, because that roll attribute, it will sometimes stand up and roll after it's landed, and it's a pretty small green, so not necessarily want to be rolling around there too much. I'm going to use the same aim point for the Accurate Roll, and with this 3 tailwind, I'm going to come off the power just a little bit also. As like I say, I think this is one where you'd rather be short than long. It's just best not to challenge the edge there. 60 feet, that's makeable. Because the drop zone is so punishing here, or can be, we'll do one more with the Accurate Roll. This one's got, this has got a 1, sort of a tailwind off at the tee anyway. Let's see if we can get a little closer with the roll without challenging the edge too much. That's nice. 30 feet, that's good. So if you go OB, and let me just take those Sapphire. If you go OB off of the tee as you're waving your disc goodbye, and you hit move to lie, there's your drop zone, 96 feet away. Just kind of daunting, particularly for newer players. And if you miss the basket from here, 2 strokes. Miss it again, 2 strokes. I would personally, I'm going to go for it probably every time. But if you're not comfortable making that throw, that's just to say par, of course. Now, if you're not comfortable making that throw in from the drop zone, let's say you went OB on your drive and you hit move to lie and you're staring at a 100-foot throw in with a gnarly tailwind, then obviously one option is you could just lay up and take the bogey. It's better than a double bogey or a triple bogey. I would use a sticky putter. The only one I have is a Harp. I would recommend staying to the left, because there's just one kind of irritating branch that can get in your way if you're over here on the right. And also the ground slopes up a little bit, so that's going to help you if you give it too much juice. And you need to remember the disc flies about 30 to 40 feet past the basket, so you need to take that off on your power. So I need to throw this about 50, but I got a 3 tailwind also, so it really only needs probably about 35. So just a tiny bit, really. I don't need a lot, so you can see, and it still ended up on the right side. But I got a clear look at the basket, so now I can just drop it in. It's going to be a bogey, but again, that's better than a double bogey or worse. So yeah, it could definitely have some teeth. It's one that doesn't seem very challenging, but you can find yourself in a hole here if you're not careful. So, all right, that's it for Northern Lights Hole 2. Hope you learned something, and we'll see you around the valley.